Definitely Lisa.
No worries. Step up.
You walk on the top, I'll walk on the bottom.
Break it through. Everybody got that what they need?
Okay, thank you.
Seems like time to start if you're ready. Good morning. I am Tom Hackney. I'm the Director of Investigations, Homeland Security for the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Today is a one-year anniversary that I wish I was out here with better news, and I wish I was out here with something more than I'm out here with. A year ago today, in the wooded area that's right behind me over my shoulders, time stopped for an 8-year-old girl around dusk, somewhere in the evening time. She was out playing with some friends when her life changed forever. She came in contact with a subject who violently, aggressively, sexually battered her. And again, this was on today's date, the 10th, around dusk. Again, the time of this was really not known, and the poor little girl could only provide limited details on who her aggressor was, and she described him as a black male, possibly young. We began a lengthy investigation at that point in time, had great cooperation from residents in here. This area backs up to the Justina Road area. There's apartments that are on Justina Road that back up to this wooded area here. And so within this area here off University Boulevard back to there, we got great cooperation from neighbors, great cooperation from the local businesses. We're near Jacksonville University. Everybody pitched in and provided what they could, which unfortunately wasn't a whole lot at the time. The man who did this is a complete piece of, let's just say he's a soulless cretin, is the best adjectives that I could come up with to describe what he did. I was unfortunate to learn all the details about what happened to this little girl, and they asked me today, did I need some facts about the case? I told them no. Unfortunately, every detail of that case is embedded in my mind, and I didn't need a reference or a recall about what happened here. So we're out here today to go back over this. We've made strides in this case. We have some answers. We have processed a ton of evidence. Matter of fact, every piece of evidence that we could find, we have processed. It hasn't led us to our suspect yet. We have interviewed as many people as we can. It hasn't led us to our suspect yet. Our partners that were here that day are back with me today. You've got the Justice Coalition, and let me tell you what, this highlighted what the Justice Coalition does and how well they do it. They stepped up for this little girl and really put themselves out for her to help her and her family. On the other side of me is Wiley Hodges from North Florida Crime Stoppers, and I can tell you that what they did, stepped up with a reward and helped us through the dozen or so tips that we got in from them, which again let us know where it's how these things are supposed to work, and it just hasn't worked like it could. So today being the 1-year anniversary, I wanted to assemble this team of everybody who was here working with us then to ask for more help. Perhaps this person who did this has talked to somebody, has made a comment, has made a statement, has over a beer said something, or in a drug-led stupor said something that somebody's overheard. This crime needs to be solved. I've got 3 years and 11 months till I retire from the sheriff's office. It's not going to be good enough to leave out of here without this crime being solved. It's that heinous. It's that life-changing for this little girl, and her courage through all this to make it through. It's just heartwarming and heart-touching to know that that thank God she survived this. There hasn't been a day since this occurred that I haven't said a little prayer for this girl that she's able to recover from this and make a productive life after something like this that happened to her. Again, I got the unfortunate ability to know the details of what happened to this baby, and it's just there's no way to say that anything short of justice and answers for her and her family is enough. I've got, again, I mentioned my partners here that are with me. Lisa Telzer from Justice Coalition, if she could step forward and say a couple things about their involvement with this case, I'd like her to. Lisa.
Thank you, Chief Hackney. Like you said, the minute this incident occurred, this despicable act to an innocent child happened, we got a phone call, and just as you said, their family's life stopped. The Justice Coalition stopped and dropped everything to be with this family. We actually sent 2 victim advocates down to the hospital to comfort the family. They didn't know where to turn, what to do. They were basically frozen. If that wasn't enough, we did our best on that aspect. We then brought in our youngest victim advocate, Miranda Carr. She was 16 years old at the time. Not only was she the youngest victim advocate with the Justice Coalition, but also in the state of Florida. We brought Amanda in to speak to this little child, and what a blessing. It was a breakthrough for her and gave some comfort, and was able to open up and do our best to give whatever support to the family. From that moment on, the community just gave such a big outreach to the family through the Justice Coalition, asking what they could do, whether it be money, whether it be gifts, and the gift baskets and the outpour was just incredible, overwhelming, and we thank everybody that did it, and I know the family appreciated that. So now, 1 year ago, as we say today, we stand here unfortunately with no answers, and we need answers. So though the gifts and the support were great then, we're asking for everybody's support. Once again, the community needs to pull together. We need to crack this case. We need to get this, well, we won't say it, this person off the street, and make it a safer place for our children, especially now going back to school. We all need to think very hard about safety and watching our children every minute. Thank you.
Wiley Hodges, Director of North Florida Crime Stoppers.
Actually, let me correct that. It's First Coast Crime Stoppers. That's fine. Listen, I just kind of want to speak just a moment and tell you where we're at with First Coast Crime Stoppers. As you've already heard, this occurred about a year ago. Crime Stoppers has received 9 tips on this case since it happened. And unfortunately, the last tip that we received on this case was August, the latter part of August in 2015, which means it's almost been a year since we've received any tips whatsoever. You know, I promise you that this is not the first nor the last victim of this individual. You know, we need people to step up. We need to have this guy put in jail. We need this guy behind bars, and we need it done now. And what I'm asking, of course, is the help from the citizens of Jacksonville. You know, we always think, and most of the time are correct in saying that someone knows something about this case. And we're asking them to come forward. Say what you got to say. Crime Stoppers guarantees you the 100% anonymity. No one will ever know you called. No one will ever know that you give the information. As always, we're offering a reward up to $3,000 in this case. And, you know, we're hoping that this will spur a little bit of interest again in this case, so we can start getting the information from Crime Stoppers and that we can pass on to the Sheriff's Office and or to the Sheriff's Office. But please help in this case. Let's put this case to bed. Let's solve this case for the victims to have, or the parents and all the victims, so they can have some rest and some peace of mind. Please, again, 1-866-845-TIPS. We expect some calls today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Wiley. Sorry about the First Coast Crime Stoppers thing. Listen, you know, what this little girl went through, unfortunately, she's not alone in this struggle. I would encourage anybody who's watching who may be a victim of a sex crime, whenever that may have occurred, step forward. Let us take a chance at that. Let us take our best effort at solving your case. Be as strong as this little girl was. Step up. You know, you shouldn't have to live through these kind of things. So step up for us. This little girl, like Wiley says, she deserves justice. Help us give her that justice that she deserves, and I can take some questions from the media.
Director Hackney, you said that you had some answers throughout this investigation. What can you share with us in terms of those answers?
I don't want to share a whole lot. You know, we made a couple strides, but the strides that we made will help us identify who that person is. But to be able to take what we've learned so far and actually put a name on that, we're not quite there yet. So that little piece that somebody may have that extra little bit, that one thing that they've ever heard, or maybe they think, or somebody acted a certain way a year ago after this thing and think, maybe there's nothing to it. We've identified who this is, a black male suspect, younger. Maybe there's something that he said, maybe there's something that he did, the way he acted. That one little piece that we can add to some of those answers that we have could be enough to get us where we need to be.
Did you ever have DNA in the case?
We've worked through, again, we've processed over 25 different items that we could. If there's anything that we could have taken to FDLE, and FDLE was great, their serology department stepped up and really pushed this through to try to get us as quick of a turnaround as we could. But what we have from our evidence that we've processed and where we are, it's not quite enough to get us where we need to be right now.
How is that little girl doing today?
Well, as well as can be expected. Like I said, what really gets me with this case is we could flash forward in our future time machine and go till she's an 80-year-old woman, and I would be willing to bet that the kind of woman she is and what this thing happened to her at 8 years old would affect her as an 80-year-old woman. And that breaks my heart, and that should break your heart, that she has to live like that. And again, she's not alone, and she won't be the last one. She wasn't the first one. And we are doing what we can to make sure that the soulless cretin, as I called him, that did this, has some responsibility for his actions. Because this wasn't a crime that occurred from 20, 30 yards away. He had to look this little girl in the eye and do what he did to her. And there's a special place for this guy. I would like to be able to put him in jail until he has to reach that special place.
Have you cleared all her acquaintances, friends, boyfriends, all them?
Absolutely. Well, at 8 years old, she had just...
Not her friends, her mother's friends.
Yeah, we have gone through, again, we have had such cooperation from anybody that we could. We don't find anybody in her immediate circle that we suspect to be responsible for this. The issue with an 8-year-old child playing at dusk, I don't want to pin that on anybody. My kids have gone out and played at those times of night, but this isn't 40 years ago. And, parents today, a year from today, need to be aware of the fact that they need to know where their kids are. It's the split second that they turn around and miss something that things like this can happen. And I don't want there to be another one that we're standing up here next year. Just watch your little ones and do what you can to make sure that you know who they're with and you know where they are.
Director Heckey, when this happened, I was here a year ago covering it, and I remember that day we got a phone call from a viewer letting us know that this was happening, but it wasn't until about 10:30 at night, about 3 hours after that phone call, a little bit more, that we heard from JSO. Given the seriousness of this crime, did you guys learn anything from that maybe you can possibly do better next time and get that information to us quicker?
I was the one who stood up that night, and that was really on me. I don't like to put information out that I'm not sure what I have. I would have liked to got out probably a little bit sooner than I did, but based on what I had at the time, to get that information out, I got out probably as quickly as I could. We look at everything we do with the sheriff's office to see if there's a better way we can do it, and that burden of responsibility falls on me as the director of investigations. And sometimes I get out as quick as I can, but I don't like to get out, and I don't like to have my staff get out with false information or not enough information. I realize that the public has a right to know, and that's certainly something that as the director of investigations, I weigh. We look really closely at that about when we should get out there and share information. I'd never want to jeopardize a case, but I'd never want to put the public at any more risk than they're already at. So, that's kind of a roundabout answer. But
Director, is this lack of evidence unfortunately all too common in cases like this, or is this one special in that you just are on the cusp of maybe knowing something and you wish you had more?
Yeah, FDLE gave us a real quick turnaround on our evidence that we had in this case. I had hoped that we would have been able to have this put down with that information that turned around so quickly sooner than we did. It didn't come up with anything that led us directly to a named suspect. That's not to say that it's bad evidence or truly a lack of evidence, but it's evidence that hasn't led us to a named suspect as of yet. And I can't go into so many details with that as to, I'm not going to ever let my case out of the bag and let these guys, the evidence that they have, somehow interfere, because there is a likelihood that this cretin's watching, and I'm not going to tell him what I know.
will you guys be stepping up patrols given that school's starting on Monday? What's going to be, what can people expect in this area?
Not just this area. The sheriff's office has some back-to-school messages that are on our website, and it's something that we will generally do citywide when it comes to these locations that we have where schools are. We work with the school board police for bus stops and school drop-off locations to make sure that those go smoothly. That's just something you'll typically see. We do it at the beginning of the school year, do it throughout the school year, and then right there at the end of the school year when school's letting out. But, kids are going back to school, kids are at bus stops. The predators out there are aware of these things. This isn't a news flash to them about when school starts back up. It goes back to my message. Know where your kids are. Watch your kids. If your kids are standing at a school bus, split it with another parent. Possibly share those responsibilities of watching them at their school bus. Watch them until they get to school. I understand people work. People even who aren't going to work every day, they're still working in the homes, and just take that extra step that you can. We can only do so much. It's parents' responsibilities as well.
So, sir, there is some wish that the mother had maybe been out with her daughters at that time, keeping an eye on them as they played?
Again, I'm not going to throw this mother or any other mother under the bus for not watching their kids for a second. I'm guilty of that. Other parents are guilty of that same thing. The unfortunate thing that happened is the child became a victim during those times when the child was out there. The child was out there with another group of kids. Do I wish that children were watched every second of the day? Yes, I do, because then I wouldn't have to be standing here. But that's not to say that this case is in particular to any other kid who's maybe out there playing with a friend at dusk.
Are you actively investigating, or are you just working off leads if they come in by truck?
We're still working through some things, not a whole lot, Woody, but we're basically here at this point in time looking for more information, looking for additional leads that may come in. As things develop, certainly this case is not closed by any stretch of the imagination. As things develop, we step right back where we need to be.
The case?
No, it's still active and open.
Let me just clarify, I may have misheard. You do have DNA evidence in this case, or you don't have DNA evidence in this case?
If you noticed, I talked around that pretty well, because I don't want to come out and say what I do have or what I don't have. I have some. I have results that will become helpful when a named suspect is identified. However, to go into it, like I said, he may be watching. I'm not giving my case away, so.
Hey, Director, the father is standing next to us here, and he's saying that this case was suspended. He was told.
Larry Baker told me on May 23rd that the case was in a suspended status. That's what he told me. That's what he told me. You came a year ago, said there was DNA evidence with no match. Yesterday morning, the gentleman told me that there was no DNA.
Listen, I understand that for a parent involved in this, there's a lot of questions. The purpose of us standing here is not to debate this case with the parent in front of the media. I'm happy to talk to you after this, sir, but the purpose of this is to try to gain some information with that. And if I can take questions from the media, I'll be happy to.
Director, we're hearing there might be an enhancement on the reward given.
Yeah, let me tell you what we've just received a few minutes ago. I guess since we have started this, we've got the Impact Church has offered an additional $6,000 on the reward tip leading to arrest. So that's quite substantial, and maybe others will come forward. But hopefully this will get this thing going, and hopefully we can get some more tips, get this thing started and very active once again. So thank you very much, and thank you, Impact Church.
Director Hackney, is there any reason to believe that the little girl may have known this person, maybe seen him around the area? Do you think that maybe this was a teenager and not a man?
It's hard to say. Again, this incident that occurred with her was very violent and may have impacted her recollection of this. What she described was a black male, younger, and what's younger to me is something different that's younger to an 8-year-old. So that's hard to say, but I throw that out as a black male. Could be in his teens, possibly. Could be in his 20s, possibly. Who knows? So I appreciate y'all's time and attention to this matter, and thank you so much.